Hey y'all, it's Delaney and welcome to the Delaney's Desk channel. Today I am going to be reading and reacting to some of the craziest and maybe a little bit plausible Euphoria fan theories and predictions. I have been perusing threads in Reddit for some predictions. I have not been reading all of them. Lots of them I was just like, I saw a Euphoria prediction, I screenshot it and was like, I'm going to put it in there for the video. So a lot of these are going to be my honest reaction. Now, some theories are more popular than others, so there are going to be some things that you've heard, but some people are really out there. Let's start with threads. Rue found IDs and realized it's an organ harvesting ring. She's mad about Angel. She contacts the DEA, tells them what she knows, and makes a plan to piss off Alamo enough to harvest her organs, which is how she and Maddie plan to take down Alamo together after Maddie has him take care of Cassie's problem. Rue will get sent to the harvesting place over Maddie dropping the DEA bomb. FBI busts through and rescues Rue. I feel like she's joking. Like, she has to be joking, right? First of all, I feel like there was nothing about Rue and Angel's relationship that gave that Rue would care this much about Angel specifically. Like, I think she felt that the situation was weird with the rehab, and that like she cared some for Angel because she came clean about what happened. Came clean about what happened to Trish or Tish, I can't remember. But thinking that Rue is going to intentionally provoke Alamo for the sake of manipulating him into wanting to harvest her organs, first of all, she has no reason to believe that that's even what he would do. Like, he could just kill her and dump her. Also, she knows that her mom is potentially in danger, so I don't really see her playing with the whole Alamo thing. Her phone is also in the car with the other dude. I don't really see how she would just up and contact the DEA and tell them all that. This one is crazy. I wasn't expecting the first one to be this crazy. Next one. The DEA arrests Alamo, but the system he built survives through Maddie. She steps into her power, takes over the Silver Slipper, keeps the girls loyal, and forces Cassie to work off the debt to pay back what they owe. They confirmed she doesn't get a happy ending, so this makes sense to me. She is powerful, but stuck in the cycle. This one I'm not too sure about, just because I don't really see Maddie as the successor to Alamo. Like, from his perspective, like, why would the person to take over your business be this girl you just met? I feel like before the robbery, the most logical person to take over will probably be Big Eddie, but obviously he is not really in Alamo's favor right now, so that does cause sort of a rift and maybe some room for Maddie to slip in there. But I still think it's a bit of a stretch. However, I was really surprised how Alamo, like how easily Alamo welcomed Rue into like his inner circle. Like, but also maybe that's not just his inner circle. Maybe that's just his circle. Like, because I do think there were some things that Rue was not like involved in, but I still felt like maybe because she had been with Lorie, he trusted her a little bit, that like, you know, she had been at least vetted a little bit. But I just felt like it was very much like, okay, I mean, she went through the test of clearing up that body, which is why in the last one I was like, I don't see Rue in the last like theory that I read. I was like, I don't see Rue really being like, I'm gonna save all these girls, because she literally covered up somebody's death. Like, I'm sorry, Rue, she not no saint. She's not evil or anything like that, but like, I just don't really see that for her. But as far as Maddie taking over the Silver Slipper, I mean, it's not the most outrageous theory I've heard, but I also think that there are just more logical people from Alamo's perspective that have been with him in his business for a while, and he probably trusts a lot more than Maddie. The next person says that they predict the conversation between Rue and her mom on the phone was their final conversation. This, I feel like, is a reasonable prediction. If you are in the camp of people who think that Rue is going to die at the end of the season, this is a reasonable prediction. I don't really know what I think is going to happen to Rue. I mean, I hope that she doesn't, but I think that this one is quite plausible. I believe that Nika King, the actress that plays Rue's mom, is credited in the finale, so I think we are going to see her, but it might not be in conversation with Rue. Next prediction. Elliot is going to come back for the last episode and sing a 5-minute song through Nate's funeral scene. This is unfortunately not far-fetched. Dominic Fike was on the list of returning cast members, and we only have one episode yet, and we have not seen him. So he's going to be in the finale. Unless something has changed since then and they edited him out, he's going to be in the finale. I don't know who was begging for him to come back. But I hope that if anything, he gets the treatment that Rue's mom got in episode 6, which she absolutely did not deserve, where her contribution was edited down to like one line. Like, if we see Dominic fight, that's what I'm gonna need from him. Unfortunately, Sam Levinson cannot read a room, or he just likes torturing us, because it is very possible that he gonna get up there and just start taking up way too much screen time when things are not wrapped up in the story. Next prediction: everyone from the first 2 seasons dies. They make a new show with the new characters. Initially, when I read this, I thought they meant just with new characters in general, not the new characters that were introduced in this season. Now, this prediction obviously comes from the speculation about the fact that it's saying season finale and not series finale, because I think we all thought that this was going to be the end of Euphoria, and they're not really treating it like it's the end of Euphoria. I could see them coming up with a new Euphoria, like with a new set of characters, but like with the new characters that were introduced from this season, not really. I can't really see anybody that's significant enough to be like, let's center it around this, except for, I guess, Alamo, but that would just be completely and totally losing the plot. Okay, this one is a really long one. I didn't realize that when I saved it, but let's dive in. Bishop is controlling the board. I can't believe it took me this long to realize. Maybe it was intentional. Bishop's blackness also adds in his ability to fade into the background, even though he's scary as hell. Let's get into the Bishop piece in chess. Bishops can move diagonally across the board, and there are no obstacles in their way. So far, everyone is preoccupied. Alamo, the king, is with the queen, Maddie. I'm already like, let me stop you there. Is Maddie really the queen? I don't know how the chess pieces relate to each other, but like, in relation to Alamo? Okay. Rue and G are at Lorie's. Bishop was nowhere to be found on last night's episode. A bishop is a seemingly unassuming piece in chess, described as a minor long-range piece. What struck to me when researching the bishop piece is that in particular, a pair of bishops are a major advantage in endgame. Unlike knights, they can strike their enemies from afar without having to get close. To have a pair of bishops essentially gives you control of the board, especially if you're strategic enough. The church and state is a great comparison. Bishop acts as a guide to the king. Now we know the king piece in chess does not have much mobility, even if he can move in every direction. Alamo rarely leaves his club or his property. The only time the king moves is when the queen is moved. Both times Alamo left his property was with Maddie, the diner, and when he drove out to make the deal with the Armenians. The king is the most important piece, but the queen is the most powerful. She can move anywhere on the boards, no matter the number of squares. With the Virgin Mary symbolism, Maddie will most likely be taking over things with Bishop, minus the trafficking and OnlyFans income. Now back to having a pair of bishops. To possess a light and dark bishop is essentially to control the board. Bishop isn't a Fed or a DEA. He is either entirely working for a different higher syndicate or has his own personal intentions. Also, the queen and bishop make a deadly checkmate combo. The bishop controls the squares in case of escape, while the queen delivers the final blow. Maddie is most likely going to kill Alamo. Last but certainly not least, Maddie is the only person Bishop verbally admitted to trusting this season. Maddie Perez is not someone who would fuck you over or something adjacent that he said to Alamo. Also, emphasis on the king can move one step. He went out of his way to drive out where Nate was dug up and made Maddie do the negotiation. A king's moves are limited. When the queen is the most powerful piece, she is also the most vulnerable because she is targeted and valuable. Even when he shot Naz, he did not take a step after that. Bishop isn't a rat because he is a snake. And you know what snake moves diagonally? A rattlesnake. The snake metaphor was about Bishop. Why concern himself with the rat, Rue, when he's after Alamo? Mind you, a rattlesnake killed Nate, maybe a clue to Bishop secretly working for the Armenians, which would be the higher crime syndicate. Okay, I don't think that Bishop's name and its relation to chess and that like general concept is far-fetched. I think this kind of reminds me of like when the final season of Succession came out and everybody found out that Tom Wambsgans, his last name, was the name of like a baseball player that like created this whole like feat. But basically there was like a big parallel between what the real life Wambsgans guy did and what happened with Tom's character in the show. And so I don't think it's far-fetched. Like I think a lot of times characters' names have meaning behind them and stuff like that. I don't know about him working for a higher crime syndicate because I don't really know nothing about that life. I don't really know if if somebody would go undercover from another crime syndicate into like another one. That just kind of seems like, why? And I feel like that would kind of irritate me as a reveal, because it's like, unless it was really well explained and well thought out, which why there would be beef between Alamo and the Armenians. Otherwise, I think the analysis of Alamo as the king who is like limited, I do think that Alamo is really close to the vest, and I thought that was interesting. I'm not totally opposed to this theory. I mean, the whole Bishop working for the Armenians thing, I don't really know about that, but I do think that Bishop's absence in this penultimate episode was notable to me, because I'm wondering if like his character is something that just took a mind of its own. Like, did Sam Levinson know that people were going to latch on to his character so much? Was he meant to be this intriguing, or was it just kind of like, oh, people really like Bishop? Because I feel like because people find him so intriguing, they're attributing all of these like theories to him. Like, a good majority of the theories that I have seen out there have been about Bishop. So if Sam Levinson knew that people were going to latch on to his character so much, then I have to believe that his absence in this last episode was like very intentional, and like something's going to explain that. Otherwise, I think it was just like, you know, a hodgepodge of stuff, as this entire season has been. Next, we have another shorter thread. First prediction, Faye dies by Wayne. While Wayne tries to shoot at Rue, he hits Faye by accident. Hopefully this ends with Wayne offing himself too. Rue gets out of the house, maybe injured, but she's out. Big Eddie is absolutely working with the feds. Alamo kills Lorie, or vice versa. The living one gets arrested by the feds. Before this, Maddie and Cassie are indebted to Alamo. Cassie is working as a stripper. Maddie is managing the girls, but she's also now Alamo's girl, against her will, of course. Jules is dropped by her sugar daddy, regrets everything. Rue drops a big fuck you. Lexi thrives at work. Somewhere in between all of this, Rue questions Alamo about the IDs. Show ends with Alamo's creepy right hand picking up where Alamo left off. He is the new Alamo, talking about Bishop. Ali dies saving Rue somehow. Show ends with Rue following in Ali's footsteps for redemption. Alright, Wayne shooting Faye, that one seems like a very probable prediction. Rue getting out of the house is also very probable. I'm pretty sure in the preview for the finale, we see her out of the house in her same clothes and with the same like nose injury that she had. So I'm pretty sure she gets out somehow, some way. I've seen this Big Eddie working for the feds thing. I'm not too sure about that. People were thinking that because the van was bugged, but I feel like that's what the police do. Like, when they have the permission to surveil people, which they got the permission to surveil both like Lorie's people, and also they got this confirmation from a mole that this illegal activity was going to happen. I don't think it would be far-fetched for them to have just bugged the van at some point. But also, I don't know. The only things I know about this sort of thing is stuff I've seen on TV, so I could be totally wrong. I'm not totally taken aback by the theory that either Lorie or Alamo dies. I don't really know if I see one of them killing the other. Like, I don't see if them dying at each other's hands. But maybe, I feel like of the two, maybe Alamo would be the one to die. But I don't know, that's just a feeling. Jules getting dropped by her sugar daddy, I feel like is very probable. I feel like that situation was always like pretty fickle. And I said in my last video, I do see the theory of Ali dying as something that is probably going to happen, although that is like the one person in the entire show that I just really, really, really don't want to die. But I feel like they're prepping us for that. But I also feel like I haven't really been too spot on with a lot of the things I thought were coming, so hopefully it's just like they're faking us out. All right, this next one says, Bishop is the real Alamo. The Alamo we know is just a front because, like Alamo said to Maddie, Bishop has no social skills, and that is one of the traits of young Alamo. That is why Bishop needs a front, which is the Alamo that we know. Also notice young Alamo and Bishop being observant and silent. And their haircut? Coincidence? Well, how about young Alamo's interest in cowboys? And Bishop immediately knew where Lorie named her bird after, which is from a movie that is cowboy themed. And Bishop literally said he's a motherfucking cowboy. Not convinced yet? Okay, the ending of young Alamo's backstory, the narrator, Rue, said for as long as he lived, never again would a bitch outsmart him. And that is when you realize that he outsmarted not only the characters, but all of us viewers. Okay, wait. Not to be delusional. Okay, I've seen this Bishop is Alamo theory around a lot, but I have not seen it actually explained. And I'm not saying I believe it, okay? Hold on. I'm not saying I believe it. Because I think the haircut thing is a bit of a stretch. Like, it's also like a regular haircut. Like, it's a very common haircut to have, I feel like. So I don't really know about that part. I also feel like Alamo, the character we know as Alamo, is also kind of like obsessed with the whole cowboy aesthetic. So I guess I didn't connect Bishop to the young Alamo that we saw, because I feel like the whole cowboy thing shows up in the real Alamo anyway. So I was just like, there was continuity there, so I didn't really insert Bishop into my narrative. I also felt like the backstory that we saw for Alamo gave some context to how he treats women, and we haven't really seen Bishop do the same. So that's why I felt like there was a strong connection between Alamo and young Alamo. But I will say, personality wise, the way that young Alamo behaved is kind of similar to that quiet, observant demeanor that Bishop has. I didn't really remember like all that stuff about Bishop being into cowboys, but I mean, they are right about that. I was really curious about how Alamo and Bishop met, because it's not really far-fetched that they would have some sort of like common interest if they met, especially if they met like kind of young. They're not the same age, but like they could have still met like kind of young. Maybe Alamo was a teenager and Bishop was younger or something like that. I don't know. There's some things about Alamo's character that I'm just like, he seems too crazy to be working under somebody. Like, I don't know. I will say, of all of his underlings, Bishop is the only one I feel like he doesn't really disrespect or like threaten or like get kind of like, I don't know, like he said a little something to Bishop, but not very much, and like nothing close to how he put an ice pick to that one dude. And I think his name is G, Marshawn Lynch's character. He treats him pretty well. He did kind of like, when they were talking about Big Eddie opening the safe, he was kind of like, what, you would have did the same thing? Like, that was kind of the most we've gotten between them two, but I feel like he mostly just leaves Bishop alone. So maybe there's some truth to that. I just really feel like with all of these theories, I just really feel like how they finna wrap this up, because they've just done such a bad job of wrapping things up so far. And I'm just like, if it is some crazy plot twist, I just don't trust Sam Levinson to execute it well. I just don't. Moving on to a pretty common prediction, that this is all Lexi's point of view and she is writing a story. Obviously, this is a reach back to season 2. I just feel like that would be a disappointing plot twist. Like, we already did that and the play was great. It was really entertaining. And so I just feel like we don't need to do it again. Next up, there will be several deaths, but Faye will be the first to go. She's the Nazi puppy murder. And Rue is going to do her little shrug about it and move on because she's got to. I think we will get 3 to 4 deaths total. Definitely Faye, like in the first 10 minutes. And I'm also quite certain about Alamo, maybe by Bishop, and probably Lorie. And I hate to say it, but I think the most significant death will not be Rue, but Ali. I feel Ali is going to die in a way that secures Coleman the Emmy he deserves, even if the show doesn't. Originally, like many, I thought the Elliot cameo would come during Rue's funeral, but I think it would be beautiful to see them encounter each other again at an NA meeting in the future, with Rue carrying forth Ali's mission of redemption. Okay, so some things we've heard before, a couple of new concepts, like Alamo being killed by Bishop. Doesn't really say what we think Bishop's motives might be for that, but that's something new. We've talked about Faye being the one to die, but we haven't talked about her actually being the person that Wayne was talking about in that Nazi puppy murder thing. And that would be kind of interesting. My only issue with that is, like, they were forced to do that because it was hard, you know? And so I feel like if he were going to do that, it would be an order from Lorie. And so if it was so hard for him to do that to Faye, I don't really see him mentioning it to her ahead of time. You know, like, the whole point is that they're supposed to struggle to kill the puppy. So if Wayne is supposed to kill Faye, presumably somebody that he loves, then why would he bring that up to her and be completely cool about it and whatever? Like, it would be more so he's struggling with the fact that he's gonna have to do this thing. So that's the only thing that I find not believable about that theory. But honestly, it would be kind of tea if he mentioned that and that's what he was doing to Faye. And then lastly, Rue and Elliot encountering each other at an NA meeting. I mean, honestly, that's probably best case scenario I can see for Dominic Fike's character and the finale. Let's do that. A quick little hi and bye that they see. I really don't like this idea of Rue carrying out Ali's mission, partly because it leaves Ali dead and I don't want him to be dead, but also just because, like, I feel like Rue's sobriety journey in this season was so poorly executed. Like, it was basically a plot point. Like, it just wasn't even there. All it is her saying that she's sober, which we've heard before and we have no reason to believe that. So, like, I just don't like that they just put it to the wayside and that we have not been with her on the sobriety journey for real. So I just don't really like this idea of her all of a sudden becoming somebody, like, taking over for Ali, who we saw his backstory and how much he went through. It just feels like it feels unearned in a way for, like, Rue's character. I'm not saying unearned as in she doesn't deserve that life, but I'm saying, like, we did not see it happen, and it gives very much, oh, this is happening because I said so, and I just don't like that in shows. Moving on to the next one, it says, I honestly feel like Maddie and Cassie are being set up for the type of ending where, after all the chaos and everything they've been through, they come to realize they've always been each other's person. No matter how far life pulls them and how bad things get, in the end, they're all they really have. I would hate that for Maddie. Like, yuck. Cassie is all you have? No. Father God in heaven, God forbid. A bitch that stole your boyfriend that was abusing you, mind you, she's all you have? No. And also, they're way too young for that. Girl, put your freaking dress on, go on a night out on the town, like, go find some new friends. You can find better than Cassie, please. They attach those shots from the preview for the finale where, like, Maddie and Cassie are sitting, it looks like at the diner, looking all disheveled and stuff. So I guess that's where they're getting that storyline from. I mean, it's not far-fetched. It's not far-fetched at all. I just hate that for my girl Maddie. Yuck. Okay, this next one says, did anyone catch that the DEA is listening in the ambulance? Kadeem Hardison's character, aka Big Eddie, is mic'd up with the DEA knowing the plan to get the drugs and the girls in the ambulance. Wow, I did not see that coming at all. Another one of Alamo's people working with the DEA. Okay, we talked about this one a little bit. I mean, I don't think it's that far-fetched that Big Eddie will be working with the DEA, although I feel like Alamo would have had somebody there maybe watching him in the hospital or something like that. I don't know. Again, my only frame of reference from this is TV. But I mean, that would have been the time for him to be approached, but I also feel like it would be kind of sloppy to just show up in the hospital just with badges and all. Like, that's just mad public with it. I don't know. But also, like I said, I feel like they maybe just bugged the van, or they had a wiretap on that guy because they got the evidence that they needed to wiretap Lorie, and I don't know what all that means. Does that mean her and everybody in the house and their personal devices? Does that mean just her? Like, I don't know. The next one says, I was rewatching season 2 yesterday, and I always said that Lorie was a creep and probably doing nasty stuff to Rue after she gave her the morphine. I 100% believed that she was going to traffic Rue if she didn't escape. Now here we are, one season later, and Rue has just realized that Lorie and Alamo work together to traffic women. I think I covered this in my last video. There's nothing about her finding those IDs that indicates that Lorie is working with Alamo to traffic the women. The whole reason that Rue is in there is to get the stuff from his safe. That was just the stuff from Alamo's safe. Like, there were people who were like, why does Lorie have the IDs? Oh my God. I'm like, please put your phone down when you're watching this stuff. Like, I'm sorry, this season don't make no damn sense, but, like, that was pretty clear. Now, I also agree. I think that Lorie, actually, I don't even think that Lorie was going to traffic Rue. She said, if you screw me, I will have you sold to some sick people. So she was going to traffic Rue, like, in the last season. She was absolutely going to do that. So I think she has the connections to do that, but I just don't think that there's anything about the situation that gives they are working together in the trafficking business, especially because why would that be a secret from somebody like Rue? She's covered up a death in Alamo's house. Like, they don't really need to hide that type of stuff from her. Okay, the next one is that Magic and Kitty are both informants. Now, I don't think that Kitty is an informant after what she's been through. I have seen the theory about Magic multiple times. I've seen people say that they think that the little star rhinestone in her neck brace is a camera. Child, I don't know. I mean, she was very adamant not to take it off, but that was for her lawsuits. I don't know about that one. I just think we get to the point where everybody thinks that everybody working the DEA. Hell, me and you, we in the DEA. This next one says, I know this might sound like a crazy theory, but I have a feeling Kitty could be undercover. Taking her to the place where they took Angel might actually help both her and the cops bust the whole operation. Okay, so undercover and an informant are two different things. If they mean undercover cop. I don't think she's an undercover cop for sure. Like, what she went through in that room, God bless her. Like, please. I don't think that's the truth. I just feel like we're grasping at straws at this point. I don't know about that one. I don't know. This one says, Lorie and the Nazis will all die, but Alamo will live. I'm thinking this is because we saw Alamo's backstory and not Lorie's, and it gave us a chance to have empathy towards him. Ali will die, somehow saving Rue. I think with so many that he has lost, he has to save her. I see the Purple Heart in his apartment as a bit of a foreshadowing. I'm sad about it because I had really hoped that he and Rue's mom would have a happily ever after. Not sure how things will go for Bishop, but there's more to him than we know. I'm praying to God for a happy ending for Rue and her mom and Gia. I feel like we have never gotten a full backstory on Lorie. We do know where she came from. We know she used to be a teacher. Although I would argue that showing Alamo's backstory and having a chance to have empathy for him, mind you, almost nothing about that backstory gave me empathy for Alamo. Maybe like it gave me empathy for Preston, justice for Preston, I guess being betrayed by his mother, but just like it just outweighs what Alamo has done has outweighed that whole your mom did some fuck shit. Like, I really don't care about that anymore. Like, no. But us seeing his backstory and having the chance to develop empathy for him, I feel like it's more of an argument for Alamo to die, right? Because it's like setting you up to be more invested in his character. And so the death of a character you're more invested in would be, more impactful. Whew. Okay, we're moving on to Reddit, and I might have to be a little discerning because we're running kind of long. This one says there will be a big gunfight. The DEA takes down Lorie. Alamo will go down as well because they have evidence against him for human trafficking, plus testimony from Rue, Lorie, Maddie, Big Eddie, the dancers, and whoever the fuck else. He doesn't seem very discreet about his operation. Lots of people die. Jules orders Uber Eats. Lexi writes a play about it and gets David Fincher to direct it. I would put my money on Jules ordering Uber Eats. That's about as important as she's been to the story this whole season. Next one, Faye, Wade, and Rue are going to have a big altercation in which Wade accidentally shoots Faye. Alamo's crew are going to kill Rue's mom. Rue is either going to end up dead, either killed by Lorie or Alamo, or end up in prison. Ali is going to avenge the death of Rue's mom by shooting Alamo, subsequently freeing Maddie and Cassie from their debt. Cassie and Maddie are trauma bonded. They rekindle friendship with Nate out of the way. Jules is going to be distraught after finding out about Rue's death/incarceration, which is going to inspire her artistically. She will end up leaving her sugar daddy and begin taking her career seriously. Lexi is going to end up incorporating everything that unfolded this season into her screenplay, possible setup for an Inception-like ending where the audience are actually watching the show she's written. Child, if Rue's mom actually dies, first of all, I feel like at that point we have to consider the possibility of Rue killing herself, because like after everything her mom has done to try to help her, like I would understand that trajectory for her, honestly. Now I misspoke. They said that Ali would avenge the death of either Rue's mom or Rue herself. I think I just said Rue's mom when I read it, but I don't really see that happening. I mean, maybe he was really angry about the position that Alamo put Rue in, but I don't know about that. I mean, I really hope he don't throw his life away like that. And I don't really care enough about Jules or Lexi to comment on their predictions. Okay, we have a pretty detailed one. I think it ends sort of similar to Breaking Bad, since the show seems to borrow so many themes from other shows. There will be a final shootout between Alamo's group, a more polished group with a public-facing business they do their shady operations out of, just like Gus Fring, I guess that's a Breaking Bad thing, and Lorie's group, who happen to be the skinheads just like Todd's group. Lorie is also sort of like Lydia, skittish and cold, and all will die except for Rue, who will flee hysterically from it all, just like Jesse Pinkman. Rue will get shot in the final shootout before escaping. As she is leaving, someone, possibly Wayne, Faye, or Alamo, will ask her for help because they are bleeding out. She will hesitate and then take their car keys and drive off, symbolically severing her ties to these people and the life she's been living. She will make it to Miller's farm, where she will be greeted by the beautiful brunette from the first episode who gave her a ride. The Millers will attempt to tend to her gunshot wound, but she will succumb to an infection or something and die. She does make it to the promised land, unlike Moses, as she said herself, but she dies because she is the Walter White of the show, which is why she was given closure with her mom, Ali, Jules, and Lexi. Since Alamo dies in the final shootout, Maddie and Cassie are no longer in debt to him. They become best friends again because they have essentially trauma bonded and realize that Nate was the source of all their problems all along. First of all, no, the fuck he wasn't. He sucked and he was terrible, but Cassie was also super at fault as well. Or they completely part ways, realizing their relationship is toast because of past betrayal, using each other, and all the other issues. And Cassie moves in with Lexi, who finally sees her as a human being and finally gets a bit of character development and stops judging everything and everyone, showing some compassion for her sister. No closure between Jules and Rue. The slap was the only closure. Jules carries on living exactly how she is, and somehow there's a spin-off continuation of Euphoria based on Jules alone. Father God, please, no. Wait, I don't have to watch it. Okay. Following her sugar baby activities in pursuit of art, or a Cassie and Lexi spinoff, since they both have so much room for character development. Okay, I don't mind the shootout idea. I don't mind that. And especially, oh my gosh, it'll be so tragic, Rue getting to the promised land and then dying when she's there. That I could see. Now, the whole part about Cassie and Lexi moving in together and Lexi changing and having this character development or whatever, I don't really see that happening because, child, we only got an hour and a half left. I don't know. But also, like we said, Sam Levinson, he loves spending time on shit that don't matter. So, the hell, you know what? Maybe. Next one says, Rue isn't going to die. It doesn't make sense at all for her character and for the show's ending unless it really lands. Maddie is going to go the Lorie route, but she'll be with Alamo, or if Alamo dies by Bishop's hands, she'll take over. She may even rescue all the girls and give them a better life. Cassie is definitely going to have a dark ending, something really dark like what happened to Angel. Jules might just end up snitching on Cal Jacobs and leaking the tape or something. Rue is going to return home to her family. Lexi might get the most neutral ending. She'll end up being successful in the industry, but forever regretting what happened to Cassie. I wouldn't mind Cassie getting a dark ending. I don't want to wish anything too bad on her just because that shit is just really horrific. But I just hate her character, so I don't really care what happens to her. But I don't want her to get trafficked or anything. That's too much. That's too much. The bit about Cal, it's what he did was terrible, but he already been in prison. We whatever. If that comes up, I would really be looking at Sam Levinson are you okay? I already look at him like that, but why would that ever happen at this juncture? Now, this is the first mention we've seen of the Rue returning home theory, because there is a shot of Rue in her house in the preview for the finale. Now, some people think that it could either be a flashback or a flash forward. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I screenshotted that theory, but there was someone saying that they think something's going to happen, and that was Rue a couple months down the line, because they said she still had the injury in her nose, which I don't remember off the top of my head if she did or not. But some people think that that's her life flashing before her eyes, or it's a dream sequence or something like that. So we will see why Rue ends up in her house. Next one says, it's going to be 2.5 hours long. We have so many unanswered questions that won't be answered in the usual hour and a half. First of all, it's not usually an hour and a half. The hour and a half is the extended version. So it's not going to be 2.5 hours long. The hour and a half is the extended version. It's usually an hour, or really 50 minutes. It also says Maddie and Cassie will become strippers for Alamo. Let's keep it real and keep it simple. After what happened, they will be trafficked. Unfortunately, our girl boss Maddie is fucked. Faye is going to kill Wayne. The signs are clear. How upset she was at the thought of Rue being killed. The fact that she's still willing to help Rue even when Wayne told Faye she was the one who would kill Rue. It's becoming too obvious. Rue's mom is going to die. She's practically in a situation that no matter what happens, whether the DEA is successful or not, the mother will be killed. Based on how Bishop was talking about her, she's most likely in a hostage situation. And once Alamo finds out that the operation was a setup, Rue's mom will be assassinated. I actually did not really clock fake killing Wayne, especially because the gun over there with him. So maybe it's in an accidental shooting or something like that. I definitely don't see her killing him like for Rue's sake. It would have to maybe be her own self-defense. Like if he turns on her, maybe she kills him, but I don't know. He's a Nazi. Good riddance. I've also seen people say that they think that Rue's mom might be in a hostage situation. That could be why we didn't see Bishop in the last episode, because some people were saying that they think that he might have been standing outside of the frame when Rue was on the phone with her mom. I don't really know about that, because her mom wasn't really acting like there was somebody staying there. Like when she hung up the phone, she sat there and like looked off into the distance. She looked like pretty relaxed and like introspective. Like she didn't look like, you know, like frightened at all, like somebody was there with her. But also maybe he was there with her under the guise of something like maybe he hadn't shown his true colors at that point. But also, like, why would she just let some random man in her house sit at the phone while she called her daughter? Sit at the table with her while she called her daughter. Like, I don't know about that. All right, another detailed one. Rue obviously escaped Lorie's compound with a stash of IDs, presumably thanks to Marshawn Lynch and his sniper rifle. Faye might be a casualty in all this. Rue returns to Alamo, who knows about her association with the DEA, thanks to Maddie. With Lorie's leverage over him gone, Alamo gives Bishop, who looks to be in Mexico in the trailer and was tellingly missing from episode 7, the green light to kill Lorie's man on the drugs run and keep the whole haul for Alamo. I have a hunch Big Eddie dies here, maybe killed by Bishop because Alamo hasn't forgiven the robbery. Bishop and Kitty return with the drugs to Alamo. Lexi finally checks on her sister and discovers her trash department, then goes to Cassie and Nate's house. She's looking at the floor/renovation plan in the trailer. I did see that. I think it's possible that she meets Cassie and Maddie here as they regroup after Nate's death and assess what happens next and how they begin to pay the debt to Alamo. Lexi and Cassie have some moment of bonding here. Rue realizes Alamo knows about the DEA connection and makes a run for it back to East Highland to attempt to save her mom, but Ali has already gotten her to safety. Rue doesn't see her mom again. Rue is pursued by the cops for some reason, maybe following a confrontation with Bishop, who was in East Highland looking for Rue or Leslie. Rue is caught and agrees to testify against Alamo in return for witness protection and therefore ultimately survives. She provides info to the DEA on how they can capture Alamo at the Silver Slipper with a massive load of fentanyl. The episode builds to a good old Western showdown at the Silver Slipper between Alamo, Lorie's crew, and the DEA. Maddie and Cassie are there because the trailer shot of Cassie pole dancing hasn't happened yet. I'm sure it makes total narrative sense for them to be there. They'd be more profitable to Alamo continuing OnlyFans, but maybe he's exercising his control over them and it's just better TV if they're there. They may discover or experience the darker side of Alamo's operation during the episode to raise the stakes. Alamo was ultimately defeated in the showdown, killed or arrested, freeing Maddie and Cassie and the other girls from his debt, delivered to salvation by Rue, aka Moses. Lorie survives and is therefore still a threat to Rue. Maddie does not take over Alamo's empire because that's just silly. Maddie and Cassie are bonded by trauma and set up for a spin-off season 4, maybe where Cassie tries to crack Hollywood again and Maddie as her agent, Entourage style. Rue enters witness protection, alive but cruelly unable to interact with her friends and family again. Ali puts her name in his book even though she doesn't die. A lighter ending might be her returning to the homestead from episode 1 where Ali tracks her down, Shawshank Redemption style, because she gave him the address in episode 7. That's our final scene of season 3. First of all, if we're getting any Euphoria spinoff, let it be Maddie, please. By herself. I feel like after that other theory a few theories ago about Rue returning to the homestead, I could see that happening. I don't really know how I feel about the witness protection thing. I mean, sure, anything could happen. There's not much here that I think is totally far-fetched. Oh, I think that maybe, Big Eddie might die. I think he's holding on by a thread as it is. The fact that he has to go to Mexico, I was like, that is so cruel. And I remember thinking when I saw him, I was like, I don't know if he's going to survive that trip. Even if he don't get shot, he needs to be laying down somewhere. Okay, we have just a few more. This one is by character. So for Rue, it says, I think Rue will survive simply because they are giving Ali a redemption arc. He has seen so many of his sponsors die and has shown he is willing to fight to defend Rue and is armed. I think after finding her post-it note, he would take his shotgun and come to help. I think after the episode cut, she could be taken as a hostage from Lorie's crew. I think in the end, both sides will treat her as an enemy, and then somehow Ali will arrive to save the day. Why else would they have waited this long for his backstory, centered around the desire to sacrifice parts of himself for redemption? It will be the ultimate culmination of his plot. I think, however, that Rue's mom will get hurt. I think he will find Rue in prison at the end of the plot. That may be when she's narrating this story, she may become a sponsor to take over Ali's mantle. For Maddie, it says, I think we will see Maddie broken in a lower position as another girl in Alamo's crew, maybe even dancing in episode 8. I think she will be saved from Alamo and her ties to the crime world after the culmination of the plot, which will likely end in Alamo's death. Either way, if they become free, she is tied directly to Cassie's success in the entertainment industry, which is now guaranteed due to their contract if Cassie chooses to pursue it. For Cassie, it says, I also think Cassie will survive because her only ties to the crime world with Naz dead is to Alamo. If he dies, she will also be free. I also think IRL production team will want to save Cassie's character for future potential spinoffs or to use in another show or something. It would be cool to see her and Maddie struggle to make it in Hollywood together. Either way, she will be successful again if she continues sex work and potentially even acting after she is much more famous for sleeping with the actor. I think it would be really interesting if Maddie and Cassie were planned to be sold in Mexico and we would see the plot line from their POV to see the process the other girls went through and then rescued, but I don't think that will happen. For Jules, it says, what do you even do with her at this point? Well, she will collapse and accept her life as a fetishized toy, or she will get brave and leave that life and lean into her art, happy and poor. What if something crazy happens and her John kills her in plastic or something when she tries to leave their situation? I don't think they care enough even to do that much for her plot at this point. For Lexi, it says she will use the crew's story as an inspiration for her writing again. The character on LA Nights might mimic Cassie's life, just as the play did. I think her using her loved one's stories to promote her career will finally pay her back after how much everyone has used her in the series. For Alamo, it says, I think he has to die because otherwise the characters' plots will all have flat, bad endings. There wouldn't really be a point to episode 8. I think it's really interesting how his personality would take a joy in breaking someone like Maddie, who came in thinking she was his equal considering his backstory. He outsmarted the bitch, as he would say. So I wonder if we will see that in an upcoming episode. They even have a prediction for the girls going to Mexico in the IDs. It says, I've heard people say that the IDs being kept is stupid and a plot device, but I think it's reasonable because they probably traffic so many girls that they couldn't remember who any of them are. And for business records, so to speak, they need to have an inventory of who they've taken before. I think it would be an insane development to see if they were being harvested for organs or for Rue to find Kitty dead after being harvested. But with the ambulance being caught in the trailer, I wonder. Based off what Lorie said, they may be sold as mail order brides and or brothel whores. I don't really think that's how mail order brides work. I mean, I wouldn't know. And lastly, Lorie and the crew. Based off the scene with Lorie and the upset animals, I imagine the DEA will show up with their helicopter and that's what disturbed the animals. This makes me wonder how the Alamo Lorie deal will go down. I don't really have further speculation on it. Jesus. I mean, I don't really see Cassie becoming successful in the entertainment industry anymore. I mean, maybe if Alamo dies, they have that room to build up her career again. But it just seems like there's been such a fall from grace. And is that really interesting to happen to her at this point, especially because there was the whole stakes of her giving up the thing that was actually successful for this opportunity, and then the opportunity immediately falling through. So I don't really know if Cassie, of all people, is going to get that happy ending. Going all the way back to the prediction for Rue, I really hope that Ali don't bring that gun to that compound trying to help, because I feel like that's what's going to put him in a body bag. Like, please do not get involved. Go back. If he wants to go back and help Rue's mom, I could definitely see there being a scene with like him updating Rue's mom about what's going on. But I hope that that's like the extent of his involvement in the situation. Like, I do not want him going back there, or going there in the first place, rather. Okay, to finally wrap this up, we have a couple of rapid fire predictions from the writers at Vanity Fair that I found on Reddit. So let's go through some of those. Maddie and Cassie will ride off into the desert, Thelma and Louise style. Jules ties together our silky robes to scale the fire escape of her sugar daddy's hideaway, armed with a hefty settlement to fund her art. And we discover the script Lexi's writing has been a little show called Euphoria all along. Hey, why the hell not? Maddie kills Alamo, then somehow uses the street smarts and instincts that have kept her alive this long to walk away clean. As for Rue, there have always been only 3 possible endings: jail, rehab, or 6 feet under. I think she lands in jail, but only briefly, and only after she kills Lorie. Why would it be brief after she kills somebody? I don't know. I think that people are putting too much faith in Maddie. Like, I understand she's been a clever girl, but like we're in a different league now. Like, I just feel like what about this girl makes y'all think that she gonna out, like, this dude has like a whole underground empire. Like, no. The next one says, it's possible that amid a red wedding level bloodbath, the person that will be dealt the worst cards is Lexi. Lexi will experience the only thing worse than death: the pain of trying to get a writing career off the ground in a post-war climate with no Nepo connections, as she submits to and is rejected by the Paris Review numerous times. All right, y'all not being serious. My theory for the finale: that the characters realized that the real Euphoria was the friends we made along the way. Hey, maybe it was. Maybe the real Euphoria was the subscribers I gained along the way. Please. I've been up squeezing these videos and click subscribe. The next one says, because the style and tone and honestly characters this season have been so different from the previous 2, I think the final moment it's going to be revealed that this season was actually all just a movie written by Lexi. Just like her high school play, it's her way to get revenge on so many of the people in her life. And we learn that every one of her former classmates is actually living a mundane, ordinary adult life in Los Angeles. This one says, I have watched this season of Euphoria exclusively through clips on Twitter, but here goes nothing. I'm optimistic that Zendaya and her team negotiated some sort of mandatory death character exit clause, so RIP Rue. Cassie will either be brutally murdered or announce a congressional run in whatever district this show is set in. Jules will step away from a big canvas to reveal an unbelievably prescient painting, pack up her things, and leave her sugar daddy behind. And if Maud Apatow is still involved, I wish her character the best. Alright, in our very last prediction, it says, maybe they all reconvene at a church and Rue is finally reunited with her dad. He pushes open the church doors, letting in a bright white light that engulfs them. Then you hear the sound of a school bell ringing. We are back at East Highland, setting the stage for Euphoria, the next generation. Alright, y'all. That's a great place to end it because it's getting to a point. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of these crazy theories, and let me know what theories that you have before the finale comes out. That's all I have for this video. Here are my social media handles. You can follow me there if you like, including on my main channel where I make video essays through a historical lens. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and click the bell icon so that you get a notification every time I get off my butt and post a video. And also so you get a notification when I post my Euphoria Season 3 finale recap. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one.